There we are. We are now live. Thank you guys so much for being here. Guess what? We also have some confetti.
Dude, that intro was
today.
I hope it recorded my reaction because I was dancing the whole time.
Oh yeah.
How can you not dance to that music?
That was amazing.
Man, that was hot.
Now we're getting serious.
Let's
I feel
go.
like you're gonna look into our souls and our brains and see what we're thinking with those glasses.
Yeah, is that how Harcones can see through all the mystery?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It changes color too.
Wait, is it Aaron, is it Harcones or Harcones?
It's Harcones.
Okay.
No, it's a really good question because I can see how people could say Harcones, but Harcones. But thank you guys for being here tonight. Everyone who's joining us live, thank you as well. I really, really appreciate you guys being here with me. And this is a drop-in, drop-out type of thing, so I might have some more guests come in. Maybe Ryan's going to not like the next few minutes and drop out. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. So whoever wants to join in is welcome to, and also you can drop out as well. But I just wanted to say thank you for being here. Today is the day before the book goes live, right? So it's not we're not doing the book stream tomorrow because I'm actually going out with my family because they're throwing me a little get together. So I thought, you know what? Let's just have a live stream tonight with all my buddies. Some of you guys have helped me out tremendously with this book, so I had to, of course, have you guys on tonight. So thank you guys for being here.
Yeah,
you guys ready? Yes.
Congratulations.
Also, I have your books as well. We got Lost Souls. Ryan Skepton right here. He is with us right now. I have some more books for more authors that aren't here just yet, but we also have, look at this chunky book here by Josh right here. That thing is massive, and the flop factor is insane.
Oh, yeah.
The flop.
One of the best wraparound covers of 2024.
And of course, A Memory of Song.
Yeah,
Sure.
And Scott, I love your background too. You just have a wall of A Memory of Song.
That's right. Just a wall of books. It's my dream. It's always been my dream. And now I'm living my dream.
And we got some great guests with us. We got Bo, of course. We got Annie. We got Shane over here. We got Derek and Christopher Navo. What is going on? Oh my gosh, we got more people. Tobias, welcome. And I remember we're waiting for the audiobook. The audiobook is coming out sometime in October. I know you need that audiobook, so it's coming. And such a good flop. I agree. Not in a bad way, Josh. A good flop.
Never in a bad way.
A good way, right here.
Yeah, only in the author world is flop a good thing. Did you see that flop? Ooh. That was nice.
And then last but not least, we got
look at this
book right here.
Yeah.
The book of the hour that's coming out live tomorrow. I am super pumped for it. And
Aaron,
I can't believe we're here.
Can we talk real talk?
Yeah.
What are the specs of your book, man? What's the size? We're all authors here. We need to know. Which
paper did you go with?
What paper did you choose?
This is, what do you call it? Cream paper. So this is cream paper.
Creme.
The font size is 12.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. It's nice.
And it's pretty narrow margins as well because, one, I wanted people who had not the best eyes to be able to actually read it without issue. Yeah. Also, it added a little bit more page count to it.
Yeah, the genre too, Aaron. I think I'm pretty sure Dresden Files. Is that not a 12 point, at least 11 point font?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
So you can fly through it, right? I think
it
shows right there.
No, there's a few reasons why I chose this, but guess what? We have another special guest with us. We got Chris.
Dude.
Was it? Your book friends forever.
These friends forever, man.
These friends. Welcome, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Guys?
How's it going, buddy?
Good. How about you guys?
Great. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Congrats, man. This is exciting.
No, thank you for being here, man. I am ecstatic. I don't really have too much of a structure here, guys, tonight. It's more or less just me talking through a few random things about the book. There are a few questions I want to ask you guys later on about your covers, your books, a little bit about the process, and maybe one kind of going back to BellTube. I'm not sure if he's here. One for the road type of thing, if you're familiar with his channel at all. But yeah, so 12-point font, cream paper. This is 5 by 8 because I wanted the narrow.
Beautiful.
Similar to the Dresden Files, right? When you look at those books, like it just feels like a cozy book you can just put in your pocket and go on the beach.
You can roll it up and just shove it in there.
Yeah.
And it's really important, Aaron. I'm glad you took that into consideration because I think that is something that is highly overlooked. I think it's really important to get that right, to get that feel right for what you're expecting when you pick it up. You know what I mean? Especially
I had to put on my glasses to make sure it felt right as well. I was like, okay.
Those make you read faster, right? Those are equipped with like an AI.
Yeah, they're Mahdi's, right? This is a Mahdi. It imprints into your brain, and then you can read the book ultra fast.
Hottie with the Mahdi.
You have to learn from your best practices, Aaron, because I made the book as tall and wide as thin as possible to maximize profit per word. So screw the reading experience.
But it's buttery soft, remember?
Oh, that cover is so smooth.
But since you do have a wider cover, though, you do got some good flop going on.
Man.
You know, I really appreciate that, though, Ryan. Like that you were that dedicated to maximizing profit.
You know, I had just finished my MBA. I was like, how can we maximize profit for shareholders with this one?
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's
great. You know, I'm still minus 85% in the red, but you know, we're gonna make it one day.
We're gonna make it.
Look, we got Caden here as well. Welcome, Caden. And Mr. Timothy Wolf, welcome. And Michael, thank you so much for being here. Another thing that I took into account was the margins, because with it being me trying to make a thriller, I wanted it to feel like a page turner. So the faster you read through the page, the better, in my opinion. That's what I wanted the readers to get out of it. Was like, oh, I'm turning the page really fast. One, you feel like you're reading the book. You're making strides and you're finishing a book, and that always feels good when you get through a chapter. And then when the next chapter is kind of short, you're like, okay, how about one more?
Yeah,
one more.
There's actually, I think it's funny because I've got a bunch of. I used to be obsessed with buying books from like used bookstores and stuff to get like a really old version of a book that's not in print anymore. And one of the most common things I noticed was the trends in reading. So like a Stephen King book from the 80s has tiny little 9-point font.
Yeah.
They make it as small as possible because people back then traveled with their books. They brought a paperback on the train, like they brought it with them everywhere. So they needed a book that you could shove in somewhere. Where nowadays with the, everyone wants a lot gratification, faster, and you're gonna want to just fly through that book. And like you see, even with like Orbit, they release those big chunky books that are like, so big, 12-point font, 11-point font. But I think that's the reason is that's kind of what readers are gravitating towards is that fast reading experience. They want to fly through it, You want
to check off the red check mark on Goodreads. You want to check that off as fast as possible.
Oh, yeah.
Also, their iPhones allow them to make the font really big on their phone. And so when they go to a book with really small font, they're like, this is wrong.
Guys,
it's
guess
like
what?
that James Patterson theory, right? Where you've got like like 20,000 word book that like
this guy.
Woo,
yes, Diamante in the house.
What's up, gang? How's it going?
Here we go. We got some Stone and Sky action with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining, man. You are a busy man now. Yeah. You got that whole new collab going on.
Dax taking over Kindlepreneur.
My goodness, dude. And you're writing like 4 books at one time. How you doing it?
No, I'm only writing one, barely only. I just finished plotting the next one, and I was like, okay, that was yesterday, right? I was like, okay, finally finished plotting. It took me a week to plot this book. I'm like, why? This is taking so long. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to start writing tomorrow. It's going to be great. And obviously, it's been a really busy day, so I obviously didn't write anything in that book. But I do have 2 books that are done and in various processes, in various stages of the process. So they'll get done.
Stuff's on the move.
Yeah, and he's
He'll
going to
just
be
love a
writing
bird.
my autobiography. He's going to ghostwrite it. He just doesn't know yet.
That's right. Yeah.
Skeff, for you, man. Let's talk. Let's talk. For that glorious hair. That's what
If
it'd
it gets me to your
right.
part of the world, I'm in.
There you go.
It's gonna be called That Glorious Mane.
I feel like I need to get a tank top printed.
Do it.
One thing I found pretty interesting about your books, Zach, is that they all look exactly like identical in size. I know we
Yeah.
talked about this together in our stream, right? In
Yeah.
terms of you're like within 6,000 words for each book, right? Like pretty close.
So the trilogy is actually within like 400 words.
For
All three books.
That was way off. My goodness, dude. For
It's
everyone
good.
else here that is writing, do you have similar aspirations of having the same word count for your books as well, or does it not really matter to you guys?
My aspiration is to finish them.
The way I set mine up is they're designed to be bigger with each book. Like each book was always kind of planned to get a little bigger. I'm not saying that's the right way to do it. I mean, but I wanted that to just not necessarily like double in size or anything, but just because it's a bigger epic, add characters with each book, increase.
Yeah.
You know.
Mhm.
Look, don't be a weirdo like me. I couldn't help it. It just
No, man.
it was like
Did you do it on purpose? Was that
Right.
because you kind of
wild.
know formula, I would imagine, right? Like, I mean, I've listened to Stone and Sky, so I know it's obviously very well plotted. So I'd imagine you just kind of went with it. You're like, I nailed it this time. Let's just do the same thing.
Yeah.
I have a pacing method, so my plotting isn't really. It's not very like in-depth plotting. It's very like I know what the story like. This chapter should be something about like this, right? And like this thing should probably happen. Something like this should happen to propel me to the next chapter. It's kind of like the way my brain works. And so then I like it's this many chapters. Then I divide that by like an estimated word count. And then the estimated word count kind of balloons a little bit as I write. And then it balloons more when I go back for a revision. And then it ends up being what it is. And somehow
that's what guys do instead of going to therapy.
Yeah, that's right. That's it.
Josh, is your next one gonna be this big?
Yeah, I'm hoping to keep it fairly uniform, but I think it's going to be bigger.
Dude, you're gonna break people's bookshelves, dude.
Bro, we need some audiobooks, bro.
Yeah.
Money, man. It's all about the money.
Yeah.
Audiobooks are so expensive.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
You want to kind of charge a similar price. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's obviously difficult, but if you can get that, that's the benefit of doing, I think, what Zach did is he's charging probably, I'm assuming, similar price, or even if it increases a little bit, then that's more for him, less for, you know.
Yeah, so my audiobooks are all ACX exclusive, so through Audible exclusive. So I don't actually get to pick prices at all.
I always found that so interesting.
Yeah. Audible picks your prices, they throw it up. If it goes on sale 1 month,
okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Randomly, just
See, that's the issue with being Australian is that we don't have access to ACX. So doing audio from our side of the world is just like nearly impossible. Yeah.
It's just North America, is it, or just North America, Europe? I guess.
I think it's just North America and recently Europe. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
well, that's why you ask people for contacts from behind the behind the wall.
That's right.
For this thing, my narrator is working on it right now. So I have an audiobook coming out sometime in October.
Yes.
And the first 15 minutes that I got, for the sample, I was mind blown. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because when I hear my own voice read the book out loud, it sounds come on.
Yeah. You're not an actor. You're a great host, but you're not an actor.
I can't do it. I can't make the characters feel alive with my voice. But in my mind, they're alive. Okay.
No, like they're as skilled as like you're skilled at writing. They're skilled at voice acting. It's what they're really, really good at. They're gifted,
It's so true though. Like, don't feel bad because seriously, I read the preludes. Like I read all the preludes and recorded them. Did like sound dampening in my wife's closet and stuff. Like I did the whole thing, right? So the audio quality is like pristine, right? And then I gave them away for free, like through my newsletter and stuff. I had a guy, they're like on YouTube behind like a, certain link or whatever. Anyways, a guy comments on the on the first one, and of course it's the first one, so like you don't do like you kind of get into a groove. I have 7 of them, right? So you kind of get into the groove like on the third one, and you're like, okay, yeah. Okay, I know how to do this. Like you're starting to feel better about it. So 4 through 7 are all like way better, right? This guy leaves a comment on the prelude one, and he goes, wow, I really like the story, but like whoever narrated this did a terrible job. Like he's so bad at this and this and this. He starts like listing things that the narrator can do better. And I'm like laughing. So I comment back and I go, I like laughy face. Yeah, I read that myself because these are the freebies, bro. So like I figured it wasn't a big deal. So if you want to listen to the professional narrator that we paid, yeah, those are the market ones, but enjoy. And he was like, oh dude, sorry, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, I don't care. It's the freebies. Who cares?
So yeah, you're threatening people over here with that pencil in your hand.
My highlighter. Listen, this guy was so mean when he commented. No.
Yeah, I am so pumped for the audiobook.
That was so cool, man.
Did you do ACX as well, Aaron?
I did go through ACX. I found my dude, like, I was maybe 20,000 words into the book, and I knew I wanted to have an audiobook. So I was already looking on ACX for people. So, like, I didn't go through the normal, like, what do you call it, bidding process?
Yeah.
Or what do you call it?
Set it up for them to put in bids for it. Yeah.
Like, I found the guy beforehand. Yeah. So it just went straight to him. Yeah. And he's just knocking out of the park. So,
dude, that's
epic. ACX. So that should be out at some point. I do have a 4-minute sample. Actually, when I do have the first chapter, done in its final state, I'm going to put it on YouTube somewhere. First chapter in its entirety on my channel. So if you guys, you can check it out.
Nice. That's epic, dude. Did you tear up a little bit? Get
a
little misty while you're listening to it for the first time.
Only problem is that there's a couple curse words early on, so I can't really. It's like maybe the second paragraph there's a curse word. So,
oh my God. Aaron, I actually my 10-year-old cousin pointed out that I have a curse word on the very first page. He's like, bro, can I read your book? I was like, you can, buddy. Right at the bottom here. Big old F word. Right on the first page. I was like, I did not know that. I don't even know how that happened.
Okay, it's the third paragraph.
I think we can give a big shout out to you, Aaron. I think one of your blurbs is from Christopher Rocchio, and it was foul mouthed was included in the blurb. Yeah. So
that blurb it shocked me. I'm thrilled I was able to get it from Mr. Rocchio, and it's also hilarious at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Aaron, aren't y'all like the exact same age, Mr. Rocchio?
I don't know how old Mr. Rocchio is, because when you meet him or when I talk to him, he feels like he can be my dad.
He just feels smarter than all of us.
Oh, he does. He's as wise as Gandalf.
Look at that. We got Mr. David Hopkins here too.
David.
Welcome so much. So I wanted to real quick pull up a picture and have you guys guess the inspiration. Chris, you cannot guess this because you already know it. So
he's on the inside.
So this is the cover, obviously.
Oh yeah, okay.
Do you guys have any inkling of where this inspiration came from for me to have this image in particular? And I'll give you a hint.
Pokemon.
No.
Okay.
It's
from
classic fantasy. Classic fantasy.
Oh, Eye of Sauron?
No.
Is that the Eye of Sauron up there?
Someone else also pointed that out, but no, it's not that. A more
We're talking about the
this
composition,
guy.
the motion, right?
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Oh, the
I was
motion,
totally
okay,
thinking
okay.
downtown Nashville skyline.
Is that Gandalf in the Balrog?
Yes,
Ah,
that's it.
Good.
Fantastic.
Nice.
I wanted to show you guys exactly the picture too.
That's really cool.
That's so cool.
The image that I sent my illustrator was this one right here.
Ah, sick. Yeah, that's
Spectacular.
Oh, that's one image I sent her. I also sent her the Balrog and Gandalf, so this is another one. But yeah, that's where the image came from. I said make this,
clever.
but in cyberpunk form.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great.
And
They
we found
nailed
another
it.
one.
They absolutely nailed it.
Cyberpunk, like Dresden Files. I mean, I know it's so much more than that, but what a great one-liner! Like, what a great idea! Because everybody loves the Dresden Files, man, and it really tells you what it is. You've got the classic beasts, you know,
Yep.
cyberpunk style, kind of same thing. Just give them a little twist. Instead of Chicago, it's, you know, what's your city called again? I'm pulling up a complete blank.
Knox City.
Knox City. I was
City,
just saying Neon City, but yeah, no, that's a perfect name.
Here it
I'd
is.
love
It also
to
kind of
jump on.
reminds me of I don't know if you guys ever read Skullduggery Pleasant, like the kids series.
Oh yeah.
It reminds me of like the cyberpunk version of Skullduggery Pleasant a little bit. It's kind of the vibe I get. It's pretty
Nice.
cool.
Is that enough
Aaron,
for Josh?
That's it.
With you showing us this inspiration, you kind of asked
look
us,
at
"Hey,
this.
what does this remind you of? Is there anything in the book that the readers should be looking out for, or something that you'd be really excited if they like got it?"
Yeah, that's a great question, Ryan. There are multiple Easter eggs in the book. A lot of them. There's like, I think 8 Easter eggs in the book. No one's pointed them out to me just yet, but there are a lot. So that's a great question, man. Thank you.
I think sometimes they might take a while. I had the same thing. I was like, I put a bunch in mine. I was waiting for people to be like, "Oh, that Easter egg, man," and I haven't heard much. Maybe
There
people
were definitely Tuckerized characters, right, Aaron?
Do what?
There were definitely Tuckerized people in your story, correct?
Characterized?
Like real world people, like in character form in your story. Is that true?
yeah.
There was like a I think there was like a policeman version of Scott or something like that.
Yeah, because there's Officer Palmer.
There's a few names. There is an Officer Palmer in the story.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He makes a rep. Josh, your name is also kind of name dropped in there too. I don't know if you spotted it.
Oh, really? Am I an officer as well?
No, you're unfortunately dead.
He didn't make it, man.
He's from the prison city.
Yeah.
Anyway, challenge accepted. There we go. We got some Easter egg action going on here. And then, Christopher, was the cover art a concept you wanted early on or later as you were writing the book? I probably had the cover in mind when I was about 20,000 words into the story. And I went down, because at this time, I didn't know the direction to go to get cover art too much. And maybe I should have went down the Kindle entrepreneur route, got some information there, but I did not for whatever reason. And I went down Fiverr, and I found a guy. I gave him the details. I sent him a few screenshots of inspiration from a different like cyberpunk artist. And the guy sent me back something, and it looked okay. It looked pretty cool. I found out that AI was used, and unfortunately, I was like, no, I can't use this. There's just no way. So I said, you know what? Let me just go to the person that I use as inspiration. Like I grabbed this person's images for inspiration for the other artist, and just to see if they had commissions open or not. And she did. I was like, oh, thank goodness. And that's how it came about. And her name is Ninja Joe Art on Instagram. She has so many amazing cyberpunk illustrations, and she does some more book illustrations too. Like she just did one for Star Wars, which is awesome.
That's
and she did the cover art for Kane Legacy, like a PS1 game remaster. So she's getting pretty big out there.
Cool.
Nice.
So
did she also do the typography? Because I love the typography.
She did.
On the cover. I think it's so cool. Yeah.
Aaron, how did you discover? Like, how did you notice that it was AI? Did you just have a feeling, or did you kind of?
Oh yeah, I had a feeling, and also the hands were kind of weird looking. And also, like, the placement of people in the background just did not make sense to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, ugh.
Good on you for spotting it.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in the indie community, man, we're like really trying to obviously put out high quality product, and I mean, it's so easy to get fooled these days. Like, it's just it's one of the best practices, I guess, to kind of be aware of how to spot it. But I mean, getting increasingly difficult, obviously.
And that first cover actually did not have this cool cyber dragon on the front of it like it does now. So I think I went down the right way.
Definitely.
You have such a cool cover. I messaged you even because you said you were sending one, and I was like, "Oh man, that's great! My kids are gonna love. Like, they're gonna think this is so cool." And I was like, "Hey, bro, I should ask, like, what kind of language and stuff is this?"
Oh yeah.
Because my kids see this. Like, I don't even have a door to my office, so like they see books all the time coming in here, and I get awesome indie author books, and I'm like always asking guys, "Hey, how are we looking? What's the level of this book?" Because I mean,
top shelf or bottom shelf.
That one looks really cool, Dad. Can I read that? And I'm like, let me double check on that one.
You can just G-rate the book and call it "Falling Onto the Trampoline."
Yeah. There we go. Zach, I think your verbiage was, does this have like scenes where there's brain matter splattered on the wall? I was like, no, but that sounds really cool. I'm going to put that in.
That's good stuff.
Book too.
I know. It's like I always have to explain it. I'm like, hey, is your book clean or not clean? AKA no swearing, no sex, no gratuitous violence. AKA again. Let's clarify the violence. I don't know. I think I usually use intestines slipping out of wounds and brain matter splattered on the wall. You know, those general extra detailed violence.
Yeah. So unfortunately, there's a little bit of that. And like Ryan, you said, the blurb even has foul mouth thriller. So gotta watch
it. It's a good warning, at least.
That is.
It makes sense to me. It makes sense for the city in terms of just you know, when you go into this gritty, dark, grungy city, people they're not going to be talking nice.
No.
So it just made sense to me to go down that direction. I'm afraid to do though a Control F. How many words or how many times the F word comes up?
Yeah,
I don't think it's that many. It's not that bad. Like Scott, your book, when I did that one time, I forget how many.
I think it was like 127 or something. You said, but it's funny because in book 2, I'm totally not defending myself here, but in book 2, I have different characters. I've added some different POVs, and they just don't swear as much. And I don't know if that was conscious, but I was like, these Northerners, they sure swear. And I think that's like part of me being Canadian. I'm pretty far south Canada, so I'm basically like in Michigan, right? But when I go like way up north, I mean, it's pretty foul mouthed up there, man. Like it's no joke. Like it is a different world of like, you know, I'm not even gonna get into saying it out here, but you know, it's pretty bad, man. There's some pretty bad slang up there, and I think it just rubbed off on me when I was trying to envision a northern culture. You know, my experience of headed north was always very foul mouthed. So it was in my mind as I was writing these new characters, like just use a little less verbiage. And it also characterizes, it's good characterization technique. You know, this guy says the F a lot, you know.
Timothy, coming in clutch over here. My goodness, dude. Thank you, sir. You're a legend in the indie space. Have you guys read his novella, by the way?
I know the
haven't, but I've bought it. Yeah.
I know his name connected.
That's all that matters. Just buy it.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah.
I love the cover. I think the cover's sick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know, Chris, you read that one.
It's good. That character is awesome.
And not Beatrice. Not Beatrice.
No, not Beatrice. Yeah.
But right behind you, Chris, I see you got your edition of Empire of Silence right there. The Kickstarter is looking beautiful.
That boy right here. I know.
Oh
Man.
I love that cover.
Right, it gives me like the classic 80s or like
How
70s vibe right there with that
Yeah.
font.
Pretty
What a
sweet.
story Christopher Rocchio has with his career, eh? Like, I'm
Oh,
not even
yeah.
familiar with all of the nuances of it, but I just love to see. I mean, that's a great lesson for any author. You put one book out and you're not doing incredibly well. Like, think about, like, this guy almost didn't get the series finished. you
Yeah.
know?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
now it's like people couldn't even
Crazy.
fathom that now. Like,
Yeah.
level of the height it's reached in the community is like just unbelievable. And it
And
was
he's
just
changed publishers, what, like two or three times now, something like that.
yeah, there was something he had to. I can't remember. I can't remember the publisher, but somebody wasn't going to do his books in hardcover, so he had like two different
right,
sets of hardcovers that didn't match. Like
Right.
the
Yeah.
match, and
You can
then
kind of see. Yeah, you can't see it.
you
It's
have
right.
it there.
It's right here. Yeah.
And
You
then
can see this brown one right here.
Oh, yeah,
It's slightly
short,
up.
yeah.
Slightly
Oh
up.
yeah, it's like
That's right, yeah.
yeah.
And then they
annoying, yeah.
re-signed him after he's got this huge popularity. They're like, "Oh, hey, you want to do those hardcovers now?" And he's like, "But that's kind of you're kind of stuck." Like he was kind of like, "Yeah, okay, yeah." But it's kind of interesting in the indie world. We could just be like, obviously, well, first of all, that would never happen. We would make sure they match, but
because we're not psychos.
Unless you live in a world of chaos.
What's up, NJ? Welcome, man.
How's it going?
Thanks for the awesome review too, by the way. NJ freaking made me laugh out loud when in his review. My main character's name is Sol, right? SOL. He's like, this guy's name should be S.O.L. Like, shit out of luck. Because so much crap happens to him.
I'm glad.
Had me dying,
That's so
man.
true.
That's what I expect when I pick up a book that looks like Dresden Files. The first time I read that at the Stormfront, I couldn't believe how much shit that guy got into.
Oh yeah.
I was like, it gave me so much like adrenaline, just it's so much anxiety just reading that book.
And when can this guy get a shower, man? He never gets a shower, and he never goes to bed. He never sleeps.
Right.
Like in the book, he's about to fall asleep, and then boom, phone rings.
That's right. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, Dresden Files, huge inspiration for me as well. Like you guys.
What's the biggest influence for this? Let's build you up here. What are some comps, Aaron?
Dresden Files, Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, yeah.
Neuromancer.
Love Blade Runner.
Oh, Neuromancer. Okay. Yeah.
Neuromancer mainly because of the gritty atmosphere and also, of course, the body modifications.
Yeah,
and also, he's just a cyberpunk, pioneer of the genre. William Gibson is so.
I haven't read it, but Aaron, I can say too, you had a little bit of a Stephen King flavor with the way that your Knox City, the banter of the Knox City people, the people that live. It really felt like that was when I put that comparison to Running Man.
Mm-hmm.
It really feels like you've got that level of small town banter. Are you from a small town?
No, not really.
You've probably
that's
been
like medium.
Good. You did that well.
Yeah.
I think Knox City reminded me a lot of. I've mentioned this to you before, but like Frank Miller's like style of Gotham City.
Ooh, yeah.
That was the vibe I got. Just like super dark and gritty, and
I love that comparison too, Josh. I use it all the time now. Batman as a detective, he's meant to be.
Yeah, no, it's good. It gives the noir feeling that you're trying to. You definitely tried to accomplish.
Very humble that you're better than the guys who write Batman.
What were you saying? Oh yeah, Stephen King. I actually have never read Stephen King, which is really interesting. I've read one book only by Stephen King, and that was a book called Later. You guys read that one? Later?
I don't think so.
It's relatively pretty new.
Oh yeah. I haven't read it. I know
it's pretty short. It's not that long at all, but I didn't love it. But I know there's some books out there that I would like.
You gotta read Stephen King when he was on cocaine. I'm just gonna say it out there right now.
I was wondering if we were gonna ask Aaron if he was on similar substances, same feel.
Because
I was on.
No, he just got mods.
Celsius.
He's got that level of again anxiety-inducing. Just the characters are just like, oh my god, how are we gonna get out of this, guys?
Is that what it's like having a toddler?
Cujo.
Yeah.
I thought going into Cujo, it was gonna be like, oh yeah, people trapped in the car, dog, probably pretty scary. It's so much more than that. It's psychological like madness, And the dog is like, sure, that's an antagonist, but the owner of the dog is probably the true antagonist. Like the people are just so sinister in this town, and they've all got their own motivations. And it's like you just feel so bad for the character because nobody's thinking about them, which I think is just a great reflection of life. Like not to say, but like everybody thinks everybody's mostly thinking about themselves. It's like, people go out of their way to help people here and there, but a lot of time people are self-conscious, like, all these people are looking at me. What are they going to think about my book? That kind of thing, When it comes down to it, they're mostly like, what are people going to think when I read this book? What are people going to think when I put this on my Goodreads and say I've read this? It's really more that kind of thing, which, again, I got that reflection in the characters, that the banter that was happening, they didn't care about your character or what was happening. And it's like, you feel warm and welcome that these people are going to be of assistance to you. You know what I mean? They're there in the world, they're filling it, but it's like there's so many other motivations going on, and that makes you feel really unsafe, right? Like,
yeah, that was a whole idea for me. Really, a lot of it came from you as well. If your help in terms of this needs to be, you need to be more on edge when you're reading this particular scene. So thanks to you, Scott, there's an entirely new character. Which you have not even read yet. There's actually 2 new characters you have not read yet since your raid.
I'm definitely going to pick it up and read it again. I want to read the physical book this time.
Well, good thing, because these go live tomorrow. I guess another reminder. Tomorrow goes live.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I think I can already buy it in Australia, right?
Can you?
It is tomorrow.
Have a look.
Yeah, because it's tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm living in the future.
Right?
If it's there, I'm going to buy it right now.
But unfortunately, he has to read it upside down.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It's out though. It is here. How cool is that?
You can see it?
I can get the paper.
Dude.
Nice.
All right, Josh, I'm going to send you
That's pretty
$20.
cool.
I need you to buy it for me and ship it across the
And then send
Pacific.
it back to you.
It'll show up 3 weeks later when the copy you get in the US shows up in a couple of days.
And it's going to be upside down as well.
Yeah, it'll be upside down. Oh my gosh.
Well, since we know that it's released and it's live in Australia, let's tear you down a little bit. When's book 2?
Book 2.
Let's make you feel great about yourself. When's book 2 coming out?
It should be next year, around May or June. I got 3 chapters done already. The outline is done. I'm super excited for it because we go down a different path than book number 1. Book number 1, I feel like, is classic cyberpunk, where I hit all the themes and tropes that you expect to find within the genre. Book 2, we go a different direction a little bit. And Josh, you kind of made a slight guess towards the direction we're going to it a while back, which I'm not going to remind you what it is because no spoilers, man. No spoilers here. But in my newsletter that goes out tomorrow morning, I am teasing the title of it, the acronym. So,
is it 3 words? Are you going to like
it is
3 words?
3 words.
Yeah. Nice.
I'm so excited. I already have the image in my mind for the cover too. It's going to be the same illustrator. She's going to do a fantastic job. I already know it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And are you planning this to be like where do you want to cap this off? Is it like 3 books?
4 books. 4
books,
books right here. Yeah. Because trilogies are overrated now. Sorry, Zach. Man.
Fair.
Sorry, Zach.
But
That's why I had to do the preludes.
and Zach,
There we go. Yeah, so you got 4 books. Yeah. Yeah, the plan is.
In my
4
defense,
books,
Aaron hadn't said that yet, so I wasn't. I just kind of went.
You didn't know.
I didn't know.
So, but there's plans for novellas and short stories as well, because I want to go down that Ryan Cahill route as well and offer free, short
novellas and stuff.
To newsletter subscribers and just to get the readership base up as well.
Yeah.
So I have a few ideas in mind for that Ryan Cahill method.
Another drink.
Oh,
Nice.
What's something that you learned while writing the first book that made or is making the second book easier to write?
That you need beta readers. Absolutely. You need beta readers. I learned that writing in the first person tense and third person tense is not good sometimes when you have it in the same chapter. because I didn't mean for that to happen. Like the book is told in first person perspective, but there's some words where it's like he walked with the ed at the end versus he walks, right?
Yeah,
so there's a lot of that I had to look out for just to make sure, because this is my first time writing anything,
dude. That's
ever.
For starting, like I had the same thing. I was like, what do you want to do? Like what? Like there's so many options. It's basically just go probably with what you enjoy reading, what you feel comfortable.
Right.
Like, you kind of, I think we all experiment with a couple different styles. And I have a bunch of short stories I wrote when I first started that are all different POVs and everything. And I ended up going with the exact same style that George R. Martin uses, predictable.
It still works though. I feel there's no issue with whatever tense, in my opinion, because I know some people, when they read the word "I," they're just like, taken aback. They just can't get past that for whatever reason. But to me, it doesn't really affect my reading experience at all. I can go through it, enjoy it the same, and if there's a story there, I'm gonna latch onto it, right? Regardless of the word "I" or "he."
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
and usually like that, the tense and the POV really adds the flavor of the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you're a detective. Like you kind of want it to be first person. Like
you want to see through their eyes.
You're making the reader the detective. Where like something like an epic fantasy, it's sometimes nice to look from above and see, what's going on.
I also think for whatever reason, like first person can sometimes kind of appear to be a slower read, but I always find first person stories are a lot quicker reads for me. Right. Yeah.
And we actually, I remember Zach did Omniscient, which is amazing because that's that's
reviving the Tolkien tradition.
Completely pulled it off. That's actually when talking about the trilogy. Like if you didn't do a trilogy, Zach, it would be weird because you think classic fantasy. You think
have to do a trilogy. That makes sense now.
Yeah, I could. Well, in fairness, I only wrote that way because I didn't realize it wasn't popular anymore because I'm still catching up on like 40 years of reading because I didn't have glasses, right? So
what did Bo say about the break-ins? Is Aaron
when do I get in? I know I'm already an honorary.
These guys are honorary members. Yeah.
Yeah, we already sent him his medal. He attends,
got it hanging over here.
He attends the secret meetings once a year in Belize in our underground.
In Belize on the beach.
Yeah, right. Just all of us sleeping, different times.
Yeah, just recovering. Yeah.
Josh is tomorrow. He's like, guys, it's tomorrow. Like, yeah, we're in the same place, Josh. It doesn't work.
Come on, guys, let's go. Yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow. Tomorrow that book is coming out. You're right. Wow.
Yeah,
holy cow.
Right segue.
But not for Josh because he's already here in Australia. This is crazy.
I can't wait. Mine's coming tomorrow.
Is it really?
I'm ordering it today, but it's coming tomorrow.
Which is actually yesterday.
Wait, what?
That's what really starts to get crazy.
What day are we in, man? What is going on?
Oh my gosh.
Let's see. What else can we talk about?
Have you gotten to that point in writing the second book where you're starting to feel like it all sucks? And you haven't figured out. Because there's like, you finished the book in book one, and you're like, you got to write the climax. You got to write all the awesome things. And then you're writing book two, and then you're like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 chapters in, and you're like, this sucks. When do I get to write the climax again? That part was way better. And then you have to write all the stuff to build up to the next climax of the next book.
Yeah, I do have to say, writing action scenes, I just fly through that stuff, man. It's so much fun. The world building part of it is easily the hardest, in my opinion, in terms of getting you to feel like you're immersed in the city and just feeling the grits and the grime. And you just seeing the neon sign just burn into your retina. That's the hard part, in my opinion, was just getting that to transfer. Because since cyberpunk is such a visual, medium as well, I tried my best to get that across. But to answer your question, Zach, I don't think anything sucks just yet. I feel like I've improved so much since the first book in terms of the writing, where hopefully my first beta reader, hopefully, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, to say, yeah, this is coming across way better than your first, because he read draft one,
Yeah.
and it was rough. I think that's something that I think all authors go through, though, is that
you'll improve
that first draft.
The whole process, man. Going through the entire process from start to finish of first draft to a completely published, edited, proofread book.
Mm-hmm.
That you've got to go through that, and then writing that next one, you're like, oh yeah, okay. You're automatically going to be so much better.
That's right.
You're going to have so much confidence too, because you're like, now I can do it. I've done it. And actually, on Zach's point, it's funny because the way I wrote my first book, I wrote it as a standalone because I was originally going to query. So I knew that traditionally published like companies are only looking for
series potential.
A standalone is series potential, right? So I wrote it in a way where there's like you said, Zach, this big climax at the end, and everything's just building up to this massive climax. And then, writing book 2, I'm back at the beginning, have to build again. But now I'm like, okay, now I'm going to do this as like a trilogy. So it's really slow. Like it's like now I'm like book 1 of a trilogy, essentially, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, it's really going slow, and I'm like, man, I'm really gonna have to put a lot of like just thought and effort into making the first book of a trilogy, essentially, have its own climax, have all its own action, but without resolving, the actual thing that you're trying to, the problem that you're presenting, I guess, of the whole series.
Well, right? And not just that, but like you get into like book 2, and you've already done all this world building. Like all this world building filled so much of book 1 as they go on an adventure and figure it out and figure out what the world is. And then in book 2, you're like, oh, I can't fill it all out with all this world building because I already built this world. Oh no, okay, what's going to happen? And so you have to get a little more personal. You kind of got to dive in. It's really strange how you shift into the second book, and you have to dial in different ways that you didn't have to in the first book.
Down different paths of their history. Like if you only went like they have parent drama. Now you're going into like, oh, they have sibling and friend drama.
Right. Sure.
One, you really got to go deep into this person's psyche, like your characters, and really explore. Like that's what you're getting with these long series. You're getting these characters basically entire life.
Right.
Like you're really getting over 3, 4, 7 books. You're getting to know this person so intimately that it's kind of like you've got to go down these different routes. And too much of it at once is probably like, whoa, that's a lot of trauma, man. But, it's kind of like people get overwhelmed. I heard this great thing. Sometimes if people have like a problem, it's way easier to sum it up. Say I couldn't make this meeting today. I was just like, Aaron, I'm really sorry. My mom's in the hospital. I can't make it. Like, yeah, of course, buddy. No problem at all. But if you were like, yeah, I have a sore knee. My daughter has a cough. I'm a little bit hungry. I need a shower. If you have like 500 excuses, it sounds a lot worse than if you just have one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
just learn to lie better.
That's the moral of the lesson.
I think it works with building character.
Quality life lessons here, guys. No.
You want to present your character. You want to give your character like you want them to have X amount of problems. But if they just have so many problems, the reader doesn't want to follow this. This person's just a complete mess. How are they ever, But if you bring them in kind of one by one, at least that's kind of the way I was looking at it this way around. Just what other problems does this person have that I can explore? What other traumas,
What else can I make the reader suffer through? Okay.
Yeah.
Really.
That's what it's
you
all
want
about.
You want to be like make the reader feel some stuff, make them connect with parts of themselves that they didn't necessarily want to, or didn't think about.
Yeah.
If I'm crying while writing it, I'm going to be mad if you're not crying while reading it.
Yeah,
Dude,
exactly. Yeah.
Write a book 3 and talk to me, man, because that is
saying goodbye.
Half of book 3, I'm like, okay, dude, why am I writing this? Like, this is horrible. Like, let's just leave it open forever. No wonder George R.R. is never going to finish his book. He doesn't want to say goodbye.
He's just living. I'm just gonna live in Westeros till I die.
He's lived with those characters for 40 years.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Ridiculous.
I think books that make you feel that type of way are the ones that they live with you the longest.
Right.
That's why Hyperion is my favorite book of all time, because it did exactly that.
Yeah,
And
Hugo Award winner, man.
do what?
You don't win the Hugo for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
That's
book.
right.
It's crazy. Yeah, that's kind of in my story. I tried to make it relatable in a way. That's why I focused on the dynamic between a father and his family.
No, I love
that. I wanted that to be a central idea for the whole entire story.
Oh, you had me because I'm a father with a young daughter. And I was like, no, you're going to get up. You're going to get through this. Come on, soul.
So
yeah, and even the way that you kind of like framed the conflict of Soul's character in the basics of life, like getting by with money, was like one of those things that I really connected to, especially in this day and age. Like,
no kidding. Yeah. Absolutely, man. And like you would be willing to just a little overtime, just a little bit of overtime.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
We'll all be good.
Yeah.
One thing about first books, I think you kind of learn the reader that you're writing for after you publish it, not while you're publishing it. So to kind of build on the father and family dynamic, have you found that some readers don't connect to the story because they don't identify with that father family dynamic?
Yes, absolutely. Like there's some people just haven't experienced that type of relationship before. So to me, for them, I don't think it will land as impactful, but I still hope it's relatable enough for them and their parents. That's my hope.
Yeah.
With that, but when you do have a child, I feel like it will hit a little bit harder.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what we were just talking about. Like in the second book, you can explore a different dynamic, you can use a different driving point for the character. It doesn't necessarily have to be, that relationship this time. It could be his friend. His friend is really hurt, or whatever it is, his dog.
Right.
Thanks for joining us, Michael.
Mike.
And thanks for coming in. Also, thank you, Tobias, for joining us tonight. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to book 2. But quick question for you guys, which since most of you have written a book, and Chris, I know you're kind of in the process of writing something as well. What's the weirdest, strangest thing you've had to research while writing something?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I was definitely, do eyeballs explode or melt? Like
do eyeballs
explode? What temperature?
Yeah.
Did you find out?
Yeah, the answer is they melt.
Okay, good to know.
I wanted them to explode, but
mine was if you pull your fingernail out of your finger, like completely pull it out, will it ever grow back? That was something that I.
Oh, what's the answer?
Really? We call it right down to the wick.
Apparently, it can grow back even if you like fully pull it out. Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
Nicholas is going right. Ew.
Josh, you researched this, right? You didn't try it out.
Yeah,
about your fingernails, right?
No, yeah. That's right.
Good.
We were talking about things we've really done to people.
How to induce liver failure.
Oh, that's a good one.
I was like, how long until a body starts smelling?
Yeah,
a dead body. I was like, and then also how to dispose of a body. So I felt like these questions are not the right things to Google right in a way.
Yeah, dude, so
we're after each other.
The AI overlords are not going to like that, Aaron. You're going to be red flagged for sure.
Oh man,
the answer is you put an endangered species on top of the burial site so they can't dig it up.
And you foster them to breed, and then there you go. Mine were all really like tame compared to that, but I got into really weird deep dives on like I got really weird deep dive on like falconry. So I was learning how to be a falconer at my house, like a weirdo. And then like
in the backyard.
I'm in the backyard looking for I got falcons flying all over the place. So I'm like, I know how to catch that thing and we can raise it. And weird stuff like that. I did like a really deep dive for Garden in the Garden. I had to do like a really deep dive on like how Dutch windmills work, and like how
I love that.
grain mills work. And so like I've got all these like charts and like graphics and like deep dive into like what each part does, and then and then by the time I finish writing it, it's like I barely described what actually works. What?
Exactly.
You need the context.
Yeah.
But the characters react more realistically because you know how they would react.
That's
Also, there's a real thing when you can tell the author knows what's going on. There's a real feeling as a reader when you're like, this author doesn't know what's going on here, you know? Like even if it's the smallest little details, like, I mean, it really helps. I think.
BookTube has taught me, do not write about horses or guns. You'll get torn to shreds.
You're right. The very minor details about horses, like be like, there's horses here. Listen, I'm not trying to be an expert. Just there's horses. Just come on. It's not that hard.
I had a good editor who
this thing right here too.
Some of those.
This thing on the front cover.
Yeah.
I did a crap load of research in terms of something that would be realistically, function with what I intended this tool to be. And it's called a hypercoil. All right. So it's basically a electric whip that constricts, that can sever body parts.
Oh.
And I looked up the technology to figure out how that could be possible. And I found like this really cool form, like called nanotubes as well, that passes electricity through, and it serves as like a conduit as well. Like this all work. It could potentially be something that is real in the future with these new like nanotubes coming out. There. But I didn't even talk about how it works at all in the book.
With the glasses, right?
So.
He's like, I built one in my garage, but whatever.
I do not have nanotech in my books. This one, the first one at least, is more like classic cyberpunk. So it's more like bulky, kind of over the top cyberpunk like modifications that go into your body that sometimes are not necessary at all. So nothing nano related. But I do know that's like a whole subgenre of cyberpunk sometimes. A sub-cyberpunk genre. What do you call it? Nanopunk? I don't even know.
Sounds right.
Nanopunk, that's a cool name.
Sounds good to me.
Stamped.
I mean, we're coining all sorts of things tonight.
I absolutely believed you when you said it.
Me too. Yeah. But I had another question for you guys, but I forget now.
I got a question.
All right,
for you.
pack it up. Time to leave.
he got distracted between eyeballs exploding and windmills.
All right, Aaron, when you wrote the first book, did you only have the idea for the first book, or have you had the idea for the bigger story all along, or did that come to you after the first book?
That's a great question. And the original idea was maybe a short story, 5,000 words. And it's actually the very first scene. The very first chapter was my very first thought for the story. And then after I wrote that first chapter, it just went, my mind just exploded with ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's how it turned from one chapter, a couple thousand words or less, into a planned 4-book series. So,
but you also messaged us at some point and said, "Oh, I'm writing this novella." And then 2 weeks later, you were like, "Oh, by the way, the novella's now a book." Which I thought was great.
Because it kept growing. For whatever, it just kept going and going. I was like, "But Soul has to go here. Soul has to go here now. He has to do this now." And then I have to bring in the dragon as well. So,
dude, that's probably why it's good, right? Because it's just you were on that adventure with him. You got sucked into your own world, and that's the best. That's the best kind of writing you could possibly do. It's the best kind of reading you could do if the author was just having a blast, right? You can really feel
it. It was a lot of fun.
You wrote it pretty fast too, like 3 months.
Yeah.
I wrote my first word like the end of February.
Yeah.
And then I finished draft 1 around like 3 months later.
Yeah.
My guy. All right.
That's incredible, man. Very good.
So if that were to happen again for book 2, that'd be awesome. But we'll see how it's going. I don't know.
Writing through, Aaron, did you get points where you were stuck and kind of skipped ahead, or did you write it linear, like very linear?
I can't skip ahead.
Yeah.
I have to write it straight through. There's no way.
And then
like When I do get stuck, though, I just add a big bracket that says "add details here," and then I move on.
Yeah, and like that's the kind of thing. Like I noticed with this, when I'm writing the second book, I'm taking a different approach. Or when I wrote the first book, I was really worried about making each scene almost like completely finished. Like I was really going back and editing as I was going just to try to make it. This time I just kind of wrote straight through. And exactly you said, there's points. I was like, I literally wrote earlier today, epic speech here. I needed to get the words down. I'm pretty tired today. I didn't have the epic speech inside of me today, but I will at another point, you know. And I also like to do research with that stuff, like kind of just like what do I want this guy to say in this moment, and like, you know, just really think about it, where sometimes you just don't have the time to do that. And I think with this approach that I'm taking this time with the second book, I'm leaving all that for the second draft. And I'm just kind of like, I want to get the story, I want to get to the end, because I don't I know kind of how I want it to end, but not 100%, right? So that, like, just knowing exactly 100% how it ends and then going back and adding details, I think that'll be a good approach. It's gone so much faster. My first book took me like 15 months to write the first draft. This one is like 3 months. I'm actually on month.
There we go.
And it's like, I'm almost done. So it was like, and it's longer. Dude. So you really do refine the process, right? And I think when you're starting your second book, Aaron, think about like, how can you refine what you did the first time? And then I think that's just how you start your career, obviously, right? I used to look and be like, how the heck are these guys writing those books? So I also remember having probably a pretty naive thought in my head, thinking, well, they must not be good. Well, that was like my ego talking, right? Because no, they are good. They're just way better than you, and they're efficient, and they've got a process built up, and they've spent years and years and years building that process, right? So like you said, with the beta reader that was like, oh, this is so much better. It's like, it should be. And if it's not, you should maybe slow down a little bit and actually like work on improving, you know? But, you know.
Yeah, that's how it's going so far. I love it. Book 2, it's feeling, when I do have time to write, that's been the problem lately, is that finding that time again to actually sit down and write. When?
How did you do it the first time?
I did it in the very early morning, where I put off. My YouTube account was basically maybe one video or two a month, when before I had maybe 4 videos or sometimes 5 videos a month. So I decreased the priority on YouTube. I decreased the priority on reading as well, which killed me because I freaking love reading. But it sucks. When I don't read in the morning, I feel like I miss, like, the day's not going to go well because I haven't read. It's the worst.
It's like me if I skip copy.
So I'm still trying to find the exact time in terms of when to get back on the crunch, but I don't really want to crunch myself either because I don't want to get burnt out.
Yeah, well, Aaron, you're doing like the indie process. You've got all this business side of stuff to do now, right? You're getting the books that are coming out tomorrow. You've been busy doing all that stuff that we've all done. That's
packaging now. I took inspiration from you, Zach, in terms of the packaging.
We all did.
Because you're a packaging man. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm opening up something from super high retailer here. How beautiful it was.
Yeah.
Packaging.
He has the privilege of child labor, though, so don't sell yourself short.
That's true. I know. I've got a high schooler, and he's moving out next summer, and I'm like, man, one down. Ah, darn. No, it's right. You got to move out. It's good for you. It's we've been telling him for years that, like, hey, when you graduate and you're 18, it's time for you to move out. It's good for you. I'm sorry. It's just better for you. I don't want you turning out like all these other humans. But like, look, it's good for you. But at the same time, now I'm like, oh man, we're going to be losing our child labor for the next like 6-7 years.
That's why I just get in the backyard hunting falcons.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm doing fine out here.
Zach was thinking about the shareholders too. He just didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I got a kid outside building a windmill.
For real?
No. Okay, here's the blueprints, kid. Go out there and get to it. Let's go.
Well, guys, I feel like we're here. It's already been an hour. I don't know how it's already happened, but I wanted to say thank you guys so much for joining me here tonight, and for everyone watching too. It's been so much fun. My book right here comes out tomorrow morning. If you're in Australia, it's already out apparently. So let's go ahead into the future and go buy it. If you're a fan of cyberpunk, if you're a fan of Harry Dresden, the Dresden Files, or Blade Runner, or just high octane action mysteries with some crazy creature bots in there, I feel like you'll have a good time in my story. And remember, Chris Ferracchio said it's foul mouth, so it's a foul mouth thriller. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much. I'm mind blown still. It still feels surreal that I'm holding this in my hand. It don't feel real yet. So
congrats, man. So
at some point it will.
Congratulations.
Yeah, big congrats.
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for being here. I gotta put the glasses on one more time.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's go. Thanks, guys. See you later.